Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor. I had talked about beer labels and beer cans the other day. I have a haul of some beer labels, and I just thought I'd show those today. Nothing fancy, nothing special, but this is kind of the items you're going to expect to find when you're out searching for beer labels. So we're going to go over the screen, and I'm just going to show you some interesting beer labels and just talk about them a little bit. They have the Internal Revenue tax paid markings on many of these, so you'll get a first-hand look at these and see the conditions and stuff that I see them in. So we're going to go over the screen, and I'm going to show you some beer labels. Okay, so these are the labels. Now, I just had a video on this, and I thought I would just go ahead and show some of what I get. Now, this is for about 3 or so weeks. This is, I think, from 4 different sources all together. Now, I've got some I'm not going to show you that came out of the same grouping. Just because I've got a ton of them, and I had to just pick some. I just picked just random the top stack here. It's not a specific mix or anything like that. There's no specific rhyme or reason to what I picked here, but I put some prices on it. Now, believe it or not, everything you see here, I've got about 10 bucks into, and that's total, and that's for everything, because these I usually get pretty cheap. Most people think, they're not in the best condition. They're kind of curled. These actually came out in an envelope in a Foot Locker trunk, I guess you could say, in, hang on, let me get the lighting a little better here. But these came out of a Foot Locker trunk in an attic at an estate sale. Most of them did. Now, a few came out of a few other sources, but overall, that's where, these came from, the majority of these. So, I just brought out a bunch of paper. I separated it by labels and then by, postcards and things like that. And she said $5 was fine on this. The postcards we went back and forth on, but she didn't think anything of these labels. I literally got these all for, most of these right here from that one sale for $5, and the rest are about $5 total for all the other ones combined. But this is like a 1930s, actually I think it has, 1933 dated, 1450. This one here, I must have dropped the price on it. But I believe this was around the $34 or $35 price is what I was expecting to get out of this one here. But again, another vintage early one. These are all, I think, 30s or before. Any of the ones that have, let me show it to you a little better here. Any of the ones that have this, the Internal Revenue tax paid, that's like 1950 or before, because that's when the law was passed that had to be on there. So that's most of these. Now, I'm going to show in a Patreon video, for those who are on my Patreon, I'm going to show you how to flatten these out and make them look a little better, because I've got one I'm going to repair because it's worth some money, and I'm going to show you that here in just a minute here. In fact, why don't I just get it out of the way. This one here, it's probably like a $95 one. World War II, it actually has a clipper, the Yankee clipper on the top, along with the Yankee clipper, the ship itself too. And it's actually from the Yankee Brewing Company, 1943. But it actually has a piece separated from it, and it's all wrinkled. Now, this is something that can be fixed, believe it or not. It can be carefully fixed there, and then it can be repaired from the back. But I am going to do that on this one, because I'm probably going to put like 95 once it's been repaired on it. So anyway, that's just an FYI. Let's see here. This is North Star. This one's going to be $57.50. And again, I've just looked up comps and kind of judged them on what I see. Some of these, there aren't any comps of this specific label, at least in the last 90 days. Now, I've looked up these, beer labels. Every month I look up beer labels. So I see the ones that are dropped off now that most other people wouldn't see, because I do look these up. That is a bonus of selling the same types of items all the time, is that you're going to be looking through the comps all the time. So you're not going to have the irrelevance of the 90-day thing. You're going to be have looked through them all the time. And I've said that. You've got to look through them at least once a month for any category if you want to have good knowledge and good data. Again, 1930s and 40s on all these. This one, $27.50. That last one, $57.50. I mean, it's got a little damage here, so I'll probably take less than that, obviously. These are just starting prices on these. So who knows where it's going to go from there. This one can be cleaned up a little bit and ironed. I may do that with this one. Some of these labels I like to do that with only because I can get more out of them. I wouldn't just put an iron on any of these if you don't know. You are going to scorch them and things like that too. So just keep that in mind. There's a special technique to do it properly, to do it right. I took the time and I have a special iron and the whole works. So, well, not necessarily a special iron, but one that's specially bought just for this purpose. And as I said, there is a trick to it to some extent. This one, 5750, this is an early 30s as well too. Sometimes the location on some of these means a big difference. This is just like a $10 one, Sheridan, Wyoming. Some of these, you know, may not sound like much, but they always sell. It's not like something that's going to sit around on some of these. Beer labels sell fairly well. That's another issue I might fix on that one. Let me take that up so you can see it a little better. And sometimes there's a specific label by somebody specifically known that makes it worth more money. So 2750, this is Lucky Lager. It's an interesting one. Again, it still has the Internal Revenue Tax paid. That's what you want to see on these. IRTP, that's what that means. So I just wrote that on a couple of them. I don't remember exactly why. This might be one that you could technically touch up. I probably wouldn't. I like the authenticity and the untouchedness on some of the labels. I don't even mind the wear and stuff on some of the labels. It just makes it look old and used. If you were collecting the bottle with that label on it, it would look just like that for the most part. This is a pretty interesting one. Not worth a lot of money, but I do like it because it does have a 1942 on there. Those are marks done from the actual factory when it was mounted onto the bottle, from what I understand. And again, these were found off just like this, literally shoved in an old envelope, or I guess you could call it like a manila envelope, like a business style. And the envelope itself was old. It was actually what looked like an old World War II converted over Foot Locker is what it looked like these were actually, or most of these. There's a few that came from a couple of the lots, but overall most of them came from that one spot. As I said, $5 for the labels. I'm going to put 5750. I know this is like 1930s. It doesn't have the Internal Revenue Tax paid on it because it's not a U.S. label. So this one should be fairly good, at least to a Canadian, if not a U.S. It's a pretty decent one. This one can be ironed as well too. It can be slightly repaired where there's tiny rips on the side there too. But anyway. Let me stick that on there so it doesn't come off. This is a cheaper one, $10. But again, these will probably sell at that price, so I'm not going to worry about that. These are early ones. They might sit for a little while. I guarantee you that I'll probably sell 2 or 3 right after I put them up for a real reasonable price. You know, a good price for me, so I'll make a huge profit, maybe $40. Day one, these go up. I betcha. There's a little damage on this one. I may rethink that. I didn't see all the damage. I just go through this cursor area, and that's the price they should go if they're a decent one. This one here is pretty interesting, the Valley Forge one. A little damage again. This one can be repaired slightly. You know, it could even be touched up if one would want, but I think that's, yeah. That can probably fix it. It looks like it's curled up. That can be reattached. That little corner could really be reattached if you really wanted to. It's all there. I don't know. I'll have to see what the value is on that. I do more label repairs, I think, than most any kind of repairs because they're easy, and if someone's, you know, got these off at some point, there's probably something with them, something wrong with them anyway. $27.50 a piece. I've got 2 of these. I might have a couple more, as I said, because I just pulled some randomly. This one here might need to be ironed and then slightly repaired, $18.50. Again, it may not sound like a much. You see $18.50, $10, $12 label here. But if I get $5 a piece for these, it's easy to list, quick to mail. I've got nothing into it. And I might even sell them for the opening price on some of these just because they don't show up a lot. The condition isn't super, but that's fine for me because, you know, they just don't show up that often. And the people who collect these might not even realize the value on them. You know, they'll think it's a fair price, which it could be a fair price depending. The price I have on it's probably what you'd see in an antique mall or an antique store. You know, I didn't pay much for it, so for me, no big deal. $12.50 there. This one I couldn't find a comp on. The company itself sells very well, so I just put it in a price range comparable with the other 2 labels of this kind up. Now, I've only seen a few in the past. I know they sell, not quite this high, but I'm not going to take a chance because I don't remember ever seeing this one, at least in the last couple of years or so. And I'm pretty good on that because the ones you see here are ones you'll probably run into across many areas of the country. I wish this one was in better condition because the San Antonio labels and Texas in general do seem to sell better. 1930s, 40s. It's a nice looking label. It's got a little issue here and there. Not much I would do with this one, I don't think, but $14.50. Okay, now this one here, I'll just leave it in there. This one's an early one. Spanish-American Warrior, the U.S. Navy sailor this guy was, where I got this one from. And I got some military stuff with this one. This is the only label I got from this pick, but it's a good one. It was well worth a couple bucks that I paid for it. I'm going to put 75 on it. I can pretty much confirm this is from the 1890s through 1901 at the very latest, so that's a good one there. Here's a couple of the same label, basically. They're just different colors and just slightly different designs. This one came from someone else as well, too. I'm going to put 45 on both of them. There aren't any counts of this one up now. I've seen Shot Breweries before, so I know it's going to sell, but anyway. Let's put these back. Let me show you these. These are just the junk ones too, and then I'll show you the last little grouping here that I pulled out. Again, I just pulled some random stuff out of this lot. I got a whole bunch more than this, probably 2 or 3 times this, but again, I got neck and combinations there. These are all damaged ones. These are the ones I'm probably going to get, say, I don't know, maybe 30 to 50 bucks. I'll put these in 2 separate lots, at least this amount here. I've got enough to put like 5 lots, I think, of these. But they'll just go up that way in lots. I'll have, as I said, 2 lots out of these. I mean, some of these are nice labels. Unfortunately, they're damaged. Not worth a ton of money, but 1933s. These are 30s and 40s, every one of these. Just to give you an idea on what we find. That's a decent-looking label. Probably worth, 10, 15 bucks if it wasn't damaged. Same with that one. Same with that one. Again, so these are all just go up in a lot. I'll just throw them up. Some have missing pieces and stuff. But I'll still probably get, 20 bucks a lot or better on these. As you can see, there's quite a few of them. And this is part of the reason I got the whole lot so cheap. A bunch of these damaged ones were scattered throughout with a bunch on the top. So, they could have looked through it and decided what they wanted, So I made an offer, $5, and they said, sure. I paid more for the postcards than my original opening offer and some of the other items I got. But, the beer labels here, there's hundreds of dollars I'm going to get off these altogether. Probably $300-400 off of this portion of them you see here. Altogether, I'll probably make about $600 in the last 3 weeks profit just on labels like this. Let me put that in a second here. And then here's the last little grouping here that I pulled out. Again, I got a bunch. I separate them into like packs. I don't list every one at once because there's only so many buyers of any certain category. And if you put a bunch up all at once, the price goes down as they, people can't afford to bid on every one is the point. So I break them up into segments. So that's a Schlitz, that's an early one, $37.50. This is $17.50. Had this one been in better condition, I would have gotten much more for it. So anyway, I'll probably get 10 bucks for the damage set there. Anyway, here's a Falstaff. Now I do Falstaff items. I've got some postcards I've gotten. And I've got one up now, I think. Some of the postcards I've gotten, 75 to 125 on some of the postcards. They're usually real picture postcards of women holding Falstaff bottles from like 1905-ish. And they usually sell for like 40 to 100, those items. But this one I'll probably get 10 bucks because of the condition. Here's another one. This one I'll definitely get 10 for. That's about average on these. I'll put it up for $17.50. Volk ones I usually sell, but this one has some damage. $34.50 I'll put on it. I'll probably get, I'll probably fix it up just a hair. I'll probably get, I don't know, 14 bucks out of it, maybe somewhere in that range. And again, for the whole amount, not just these, but the other ones, I've got literally 10 bucks or so, maybe 12 at the very most, but I really think it's around 10 into all these, because I pay dirt cheap for these items. Most people don't think much of them, so I can get a stack for just a couple bucks, especially when they got damaged and they're curled up. They've been in a dirty envelope in the attic or something, and that's where pretty much all of these came from. Now this one here is a Peter Fox. This one's a little different. Anything that says Peter Fox is usually worth some money. It's out of Chicago, the ones that I've all seen. So I knew I was going to get some money out of this one. I'm going to put 75 on this pair. I'll iron it out. I'll flatten it out just a little bit, whether I do it with the press or not. But 75 I'll put in. I'll probably get 40 to 50 bucks. And then here's a Ultimer. This is another odder one too. I'm going to put $57.50. I'll probably get, at least 20, 25, 30, maybe more than that. Some of these might even go for the price I ask. These Buckingham always sell at least 10 bucks for just the main label. I have the neck one, obviously. I'm going to put $27.50. This one would have been a decent one too had it not been ripped. This is probably going to be like an $8 pair. Maybe a little more than that because the neck label doesn't show up too often. But anyway, we'll see there. Now this one I've had before too, San Luis. It's the pair of them too. Mexico, 1930s or 40s. $17.50. I should get 9, 10 bucks out of it. This one here will definitely have to be in the press. It's the set. It's got a little damage on it too. So $17.50, probably get 8, 10 bucks out of it. Anyway. And this one I always liked. I've had a few of these old blue ones before. These don't show up very often. I'm probably, I think I said $27.50. I will probably get 20 bucks or so out of the pair, at least 15 bucks. So again, I got about 10 bucks into these. You can see just one of these sells and I'm making my money back. Because again, you buy them cheap when they're in these conditions. Some of this can be ironed, some of this can be fixed up to make it look much better, or pressed out as well too. You got to be careful with any of those options and at least know something and practice a lot before you move up to ones you can actually make some money on. But again, even like this here, that could be fixed carefully where it wouldn't be noticeable. You'd probably see it on the back, but I don't see as that would be an issue for most people. Neck label and the outer bottle main label as well too. But $19.99 on that one. I'll probably get 12, 14 bucks out of this one here. So again, hopefully that gives you an idea on these. You can see the potential value in these labels. Overall, just in general, that, you know, when you get them this cheap, and you're really going to have to do some digging. Check out some attics, you know, go to some sales. I find some of these in antique malls from time to time. Usually they want much more for them. They have some idea, but I do run into packs where I can get some, you know, labels that they'll miss or that'll be mixed in with, you know, newer ones and things like that. So I do look at everything like this. Any of the paper items in any of the stores I go to, I do look at. So, because you never know what you're going to find on any of these. But that's what I got for you today.
Well, there you go. That's some beer labels that I got. Again, I get hauls like this quite often, once, twice a month, sometimes even more than that. Not necessarily this early all the time, but I've got a ton, thousands of beer labels, whiskey labels, wine labels in-house that have not been listed just because they've been recent purchases. So, you know, they're a good money maker for us. It's a steady income. It's something that sells routinely, constantly throughout the year, all year round, all the time. So, again, that's what I have for you today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas and some thoughts and showed you some interesting items to look for. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when we post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.